As Father Vogel, we continue our series on St. Francis de Sales' Introduction to the Devout Life. We are in part 3 of his book looking at the different virtues, and one of the things that he's going to mention that is virtuous for us to do is to take time out for recreation. So he has 4 chapters looking at this idea of recreation. In this video, we'll look at his chapter looking at praiseworthy recreation. Then he has one talking specifically about 2 types of recreation that he's going to give some caveats for, games of chance and dancing. And then the final chapter looks at the appropriate time to spend with recreation. So he says that sometimes it's necessary to relax our mind and also our body by some kind of recreation. We can't just continue to work constantly, but we need this time to just take a break. So he says, without a doubt, it is a vice to be so stern, rude, and unsociable as to allow no kind of relaxation, either for oneself or for others. So he says that there is a prudence, a practical wisdom to know, what order, what kind, what time, what place, and to what degree with moderation that we're going to spend with recreation. St. Francis then goes into a brief list on some suitable forms of recreation. He says, going out to walk in the fresh air, taking part in friendly conversation, playing some musical instrument, or singing to the accompaniment of music, going out hunting. He says all those kinds of things are suitable relaxations, and of course we can probably easily think of many other forms of relaxation that each of us likes to do. There's way too many for him to be able to list in all. Next, St. Francis looks specifically at different types of games. He says, games in which success serves as a reward and recompense for competency and skill of body or mind are recreation good and permissible in and of themselves. So he speaks of some examples, games, like basketball. They didn't have it at his time, but he mentions tennis, different other kinds of games, chess, checkers, different games that require some kind of skill and that we feel rewarded for when we exercise that skill are commendable types of recreation. Though in all things that we do in recreation, we want to make sure that we have a proper moderation, that we're using it not in overabundance. He says we must watch against excess, either as to the time spent on recreation or as to the amount of money we play for. So he says if we spend too much time on a certain recreational activity, then it no longer is relaxation, but it really becomes an occupation. And then also for certain types of game, if there's some kind of money involved, he says if the stakes to which the game is played is too great, then the emotions of the players become unbalanced. Moreover, it is unjust to gamble for too great prices. So we'll actually get into games of chance in the next chapter and looks to see what he has to say about those type of games. St. Francis concludes this first chapter on suitable recreation by pointing out that we can take pleasure in recreation while we are doing the activities, but we don't want to become overly attached to them, just as we don't want to be attached to anything earthly. So too the same for recreation. He says we may take pleasure in playing games while we play, and that's part of the purpose of relaxation, is to have this kind of fun, relaxing time. But he says do not attach yourself with fondness to these games. No matter how honest a recreation may be, it is wrong to put one's heart and affection into it. So we don't want to become so attached that that's the only thing we're thinking of, the next time that we're going to have relaxation, and we're not really putting our time and effort into our true occupation, our true calling that God has for us. God bless.